here we go. All right, so welcome to our 8 weeks to better health, brought to you by Live Well Naturally, and I'm Sherry Sancholi. The quick backdrop to this is March of 24. I set a goal to do little chats every Wednesday for a year. And so if you go on my YouTube, which is Live Well Naturally 123, you'll find a lot of 10 to 15-minute chats. I call them espresso chats because I felt like they were like a little coffee break. And as I was rounding the new year and realizing that January, February was going to wrap up my goal, I didn't want to just kind of phase out. I wanted to like end on a high note. And so I decided to create this 8 week class. And you can do it experientially by ordering the products, or you can just log on and learn. And I've had guest speakers every week. Today I have Jen. And it's just been really fun. It's fun to try to challenge ourselves to do something different. And I'm definitely doing something different. So here we are. And this is my why. Why am I sitting here in my home hair salon telling you about my passions? Well, this is my backdrop. I've always been outdoorsy and adventurous. The first picture is from a sailboat race down to Cabo. And I've always felt like I was fairly healthy and out there living life. Next one is my husband and our little puppy, who's not so little anymore, my grandbaby, and our 4 kids. And um, luckily, I'm curious by nature and I'm open minded. And so when I was asked about doTERRA and did I want to learn about it, luckily I didn't go, no, no, I'm good. Look at all the things I'm doing already. I was like, yeah, tell me more about it. And wouldn't you know, little by little, as I swapped out toxic based products for plant based products, my asthma was easier maintained. I had more vitality. I had less brain fog. And all these moments were even sweeter because I felt even better. And I just don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out on making memories. I was telling Jen before we started, I'm going to Disneyland next week with my little granddaughter and daughter, and I want to keep up, and I don't want that to stop. I want to be like 80 years old and jumping off the sailboat. So um, the things that I've created into these classes, I believe are going to help all of us. So that's my inspiration. So today we're talking about toxin-free toiletries. And it's such an overlooked thing, at least for me it was. When I got into this, the oils were the first thing I was drawn to, and I'm diffusing oil right now as we speak. I diffuse oil every night when I sleep. And then little by little, I started thinking of other things like vitamins, which we're going to be covering in the next few weeks, different things that were more obvious to me. But then when the idea that doTERRA carries a lot of toiletries and personal care products, I kind of thought, oh, I don't know. I'm a hairstylist. I like the shampoo I use. Like, I don't know if I really need to know about that. And then I realized your skin is your biggest organ and it covers everything and it's absorbing everything. And so just like we don't want to use dryer sheets because they're just full of toxins and they coat our clothes and then we put our clothes on our body, we also need to be mindful of what toiletries we're using. So little by little, I've tried a lot of their products, not all of them, but a lot. The skincare line has been the latest thing that I dove into, and I really do enjoy it. And so that's been my go-to. And every week I star one product. So this week I'm starring the bath bar. And the reason why I chose that is because I try to find a product that's like a lower or moderate price point. So if you do want to follow along experientially, you're not spending an arm and a leg. And it's just kind of a, a mainstay for people. Like everybody uses soap, I'd like to think. And so how great that we can start there. Something simple, but actually also really effective. Excuse me. So it's a really great way to reduce toxins. And of course, our bath bars are toxin free. And there's 4 different kinds. There's moisturizing, there's a Serenity blend, which is really great for relaxing. Serenity is our oil that we use for falling to sleep. Balance is one of my favorite oils, and it's the bar we use because my husband used to use, I can't even think what it's called, but it's green and it's like very pine based, Irish Spring maybe or something. Anyways, and so we wanted to switch, and especially the fragrances, those artificial fragrances are really hard on my asthma. And so we chose Balance, and Balance oil is a blend of a lot of woodsy, it's very heavy, but in a good way. I love it. It's really wonderful. And citrus now I have an asterisk next to it because you're either going to love it or hate it. Honestly, I just always tell it like it is. It has a lot of grit to it. They've put sunflower beads and orange peel powder in it, and so it's very exfoliating and it has a gritty feel. So either you're going to be like, this is amazing, or it's going to feel a little too much if your skin's sensitive. But all of our bars are free of harsh surfactants. If you've followed me at all, you know that pronouncing words are not my strength, but I always just kind of go for it. And I don't practice because, I just one me. But of course it doesn't have anything bad in it. And so that's the beauty. And like I'd said last week, I'll say it again because I think it's worth repeating. I don't blindly use products. And so I did my due diligence. I've been to doTERRA conventions. I've toured their corporate office in Utah. I've met the chemist and the scientist. And I know that they run all their products through 54 rounds of tests. 11 of them were with a third party. And they publish the results publicly on a website called source2you.com. So now that I have done all that, I do blindly just place my order, get what I need to get because I know I've been there and I've researched it and I know I can really trust them. So I love that about them. All right. So this week I'm introducing the idea of doing a DIY body scrub. Each week I try to introduce like a habit. One time we got into box breathing. Sometimes it's a DIY product, but just something outside of just buy this product. Like I'm here to help you. I'm not here to just introduce you to a long line of products. So I really like this. It's fun to do for your own bath. And it's also a really fun gift. If you want to, whether you want to make them up for, you know, uh, Valentine's Day is coming, if you want to give them to your girlfriends for Galentine's, if you want to do it around the holiday season as a seasonal gift, or you just like to have, be that person that's like, here, I'm thinking of you. There's a lady in our yoga community, and she's always bringing people gifts. So this would be a really nice thing to do back for her. And you can screenshot this. All of my slides are for your enjoyment. But it's brown sugar, fractionated coconut oil, which is something that we make. What I love about our fractionated coconut oil is that we've spun out the proteins. And so it's always going to be liquid form. It's never going to coagulate. I have it. You can also buy the pump for it. And I have it with the pump in my bathroom and I use it on my face at night. And I can do different oils mixed with it, which is so fun because it makes me feel like I'm kind of the mad scientist. Like, oh, frankincense, it's good for those well, I like to call them sunspots. They might be age spots, but frankincense or like, oh, I've been out in the sun today. I should probably use some lavender. So, anyways, I digress, but it does include the fractionated coconut oil and some lime and ginger. And then you're just going to combine everything, stir it. And I bought those little jars like your grandma used to make for canning, but they're little and they're so cute because you can just put a little in there and, gift away or also just have it sitting in your bathroom. So why do this, right? Why am I worrying about toiletries and what's in it for you? Like why should you think about this? Well, exposure to chemicals and personal care products can cause health problems such as asthma, which is something I struggle with, learning and developmental issues, but it can also disrupt your hormones, which can lead to cancer, reproductive issues, and thyroid problems. I have Hashimoto's. It's an autoimmune disease, and I talked to a girlfriend that is a childhood friend. We've kind of had the same journey all through, and we both come from that era. I don't know if kids are still doing this, but we used to just marinate our throat with perfume, right? We just put perfume on, go out to that school dance, and then as we got older, we just never lost the habit, and we wore perfume for a majority of our lives. And you have to wonder. There's no, for my journey, there's no absolute proof, but my thyroid is here and I've been marinating it in chemicals. So I encourage you to think about switching. This is why I included a picture of our jasmine roller. We have jasmine, we have gardenia, we have rose. I have rose right here. I mean, whatever aroma you enjoy, it could actually end up being a great replacement for your perfume. And I always have oils on me. Sometimes I just whip out some wild orange and kind of rub it on my neck and spruce it through my hair. And I always get so many compliments, more compliments now than when I wore traditional perfume. People are like, oh, you always smell so fresh and yummy. And then lastly, on this page, I'm very passionate about this fact about the challenge with fragrance is a legal loophole for the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act that allows the cosmetic industry to keep their products a secret. Now, with most things, it started out for good. Years ago, probably decades ago, it was because if I had a perfume company and I wanted to keep my competitive edge, this is how this started. I didn't want to give out my trade secrets. I didn't want to list my ingredients because I didn't want someone to be able to duplicate my product. And that's fair, right? However, like with a lot of things, it got misused because then it became just this abyss where people could just be like, oh, yeah, that's fragrance. And it wasn't legitimate fragrance, it was chemicals, it was all different kinds of products that aren't good for our health. Make sure my mic's still on. Yeah. And 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 so when I see fragrance listed on a product, my alarm bells go off because I'm like, oh gosh, that's just code for like who knows what's in there, right? So I encourage you to try to decrease your fragrance, whether it be the thing hanging around your rearview mirror in the car, or perfume, or the dryer sheets, or your shampoo, your laundry detergent, all of it. If you can reduce the amount of artificial fragrance, you're going to help your body be at its optimal health. And lastly, I kind of wing this, as you can't if you can't tell. I just get the slides going and then it gets me talking. But something that I thought about is that our bodies are designed to handle toxins. Like nobody lives in a bubble that I know of and has zero toxins exposed to them, whether it be from an outside product or even just stress. Like everybody has some, and our bodies are designed to handle that. And where we start having a lot of health issues and a lot of examples of our bodies breaking down is because we have become exposed to more than our what our body's designed to handle, and more than what's reasonable. So we want to try to get away from that. We want to try to avoid all the toxins and harm that we can, because we're still going to be exposed to air pollution and different things. Okay, I'm so excited. This is the best part for me. I asked Jen, who I think I met you maybe 3 or 4 years ago. You might know more than I would because I think you had just moved here. But you know how certain people was it 3 or 4 years ago,
Yep,
Jen?
yep, you're right.
Oh, good. You know how you just vibe with certain people? As soon as I met you, we were just like, bah, 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 bah. And I just, there was no, like space in a good way. Like I felt like I could say anything, I could listen to anything. I really get you. I see you. She's a beautiful woman and a mom of 3 boys, which I know is no easy feat. I was a single mom too. And um, I just really admire you. I admire how you show up in the world. I admire how you run your own life. But why she's here is because I love her sound healing and I love how she shows up in our yoga community. And it's really impactful for your health. I just took her class recently. I'd taken it before. We've hired her for personal private events. I highly encourage you to put that in the back of your mind, maybe even the front of your mind, that next time you have an event, what a cool thing to do. I think it was for my daughter's baby shower. And what a cool thing to do. Make your event different and leave people feeling, shifted in the best of ways. So, with no further ado, I want to introduce Jen, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she does.
Hello. So, yes, thank you so much for having me and that lovely introduction. My name is Jen, and I've been doing sound healing, yoga, and meditation for about 5 years now. And my background is actually in medicine. I was pre-med in college, didn't go to med school, but worked in medicine. And I actually was an andrologist and worked in an infertility doctor's office, so reproductive medicine. So everything that you're saying definitely resonates with me. Our skin is the largest organ and we absorb everything. So think about what you wash your clothes in, your bed sheets, your towels, the lotions, everything that you're putting on your body is going into your body. That's why lotion will say it's gluten free because your body is actually absorbing it into it. And if people have a gluten sensitivity, their lotion and things like that can actually cause harm. And fragrances are chemicals. And in fact, when I worked for the infertility doctor, none of us were allowed to wear any sort of perfume. We had to use chemical-free and fragrant-free shampoos and wash our scrubs in fragrant-free soap because the embryos, even though they are microscopic, they are sensitive to chemicals and they can actually be affected by that and die. And so, working in the lab, we had to be extremely sensitive to that. And then I fast forward, I got out of the medical field. I was stay-at-home mom with my three boys. My husband, unfortunately, was in a wakeboarding accident and received a traumatic brain injury and died by suicide 3 weeks later. So during that time of grieving and just trying to find my way, I found yoga and just really loved the community and the people that I was surrounded with. And then decided I wanted to become a yoga teacher. And during my training, I received a sound bath and I was immediately blown away. I had been involved in music my whole life growing up. Um, was in a marching band and symphonic band in high school. And then as since I was pre-med in college, I got out of music. And it's just been such a joy to come back into it and full circle. And so I became really interested in the sound healing, did another training in that, then bought my own instruments and have just taken off. Moved to San Diego about 4.5 years ago from Arizona. And I teach yoga and sound healing and meditation all throughout San Diego and Arizona. I also work for the San Diego Unified School District now, and I do sound healing for the teachers. I actually did a sound bath this morning for some. So the San Diego schools just received an award for their mental health awareness, and sound healing is definitely one of those avenues. And the amazing part about sound healing, yoga, meditation is you can absolutely and should incorporate your essential oils. So I have a really cool graph here. So they actually did a sound bath with to an EEG. So they put people's brains to this scan. Let's see if I can zoom in here. And so this is called our monkey mind. It's all jumping around all over the place, all spiky. Okay. So then when we do a sound bath, it calms our brain waves down and activates the theta and the delta brain waves, which are meditative waves. And this bottom graph here, look at that. It's so pretty. This is when we introduce orange blossom scent. So it smooths out our brain waves, and I'll read you a little stat here. Olfaction, so our sense, is the only sense that travels directly to the orbital frontal cortex without having to pass through the thalamus. In other words, smells can directly influence our limbic brains, which are the centers of emotion. So that's why sometimes you smell something and it immediately takes you to a place, a memory, a person. So we store our emotion there. And I think it's really beautiful to be able to incorporate all these different types of wellness into your everyday or special events. So I really um, love that Sherry had me do this for her daughter's baby shower. And I've done sound baths for celebrations of lives, for any kind of celebration. And it's just really a wonderful thing. So thank you so much for having me.
I just learned so much about you. I felt that way the other day when I had my acupuncture on. I was like, acupuncture's on. I was like, I didn't, how come I didn't know all these things? Um, so much to say. I should have made notes, but it's interesting to me that you started in the pre-med industry, and then what a powerful testimonial about how important it is not to have chemicals, that it could literally kill the little embryos.
Yes, and that's one thing I noticed is our patients were just getting younger and younger, and it is because of the toxic environment and it's in our food and all around us that it's affecting infertility. Like my mom was like, none of my friends had problems getting pregnant, and now it's just like so common.
Oh, that's such a good point. Oh, I'm gonna think about that for a few days. Like that's really
Yeah.
gonna stay with me. And also thank you for sharing just so openly about your journey with your husband and his injury and then his suicide. I think it's so important to speak about life and passing and all that happens to people, because if we don't talk about it, I was in a group that probably wasn't so used to being so um, transparent. And I was like, boy, I really wrestled with my mental health last week. And I realized I wasn't talking to people that were used to being so transparent. And they were like, and it's like, oh no, like everything happened at once. And I literally like called a friend. It was like, walk me through this because I'm
Yeah.
feeling so overwhelmed. But that's, I think, how we can learn and level up from all these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm so proud of how you've adjusted and moved on with your for your boys and for yourself. It's really something. And then there was something else I was going to mention. Oh, the that you're working for the school district.
Yes.
How cool is that? So is your job with the school district just about sound healing and health?
Yep. It's just sound healing, yoga, and meditation. And I either go on sites to the schools everywhere from Escondido to La Mesa, everywhere. And or there have two resource centers, one in Kearney Mesa and
Uh-huh.
one off the 8 and Hotel Circle. And they're free for teachers to go to and their spouses. And they also offer acupuncture, childcare, and cooking classes at one of the locations.
Whoa, I
Yeah,
didn't know all that.
yeah, fantastic.
Oh, that's so good. We need it more now than ever.
Yes.
And we really need to support each other, and everybody deserves to feel well. And everybody has ups and downs,
Yes.
and that's the thing I think needs to get normalized is everybody has those moments where it feels like it's all crashing in. And if we can
Mhm.
talk about it,
Yep.
I love that phrase about like we're as sick as our secrets, because if we don't know to talk about it, then it does
Yeah,
start adding weight. But how cool that you can help teachers because they have such an important job.
for sure. And I bring your essential oils, mine that I've received from you too, my sound baths. And I always put them out, lay them out front and let people read what, properties they can help with and decide. And then it's just one of those things to add to it, to the sound bath. It's lovely.
Oh, I love that. Well, anybody who's watching on YouTube, I really encourage you to think about adding Jen to something that you're doing. And I'm now thinking about what our next thing is that we're going to have you back for, because especially my little nephew, that was probably the biggest, or my grandnephew, the biggest surprise. I don't know if you remember him, but he got so into it. And that
Yeah.
year for Christmas, for our white elephant, I brought a little sound bowl to try to like hope that he could get it, and I don't think he ended up with it, but um yeah, it's just really, it's cool what you do. So I appreciate you taking time. We've had to kind of get creative on our scheduling because she was out of town and then I'm going to be out of town, but this is why we're recording it this week. So all right, we're going to flip through the rest of my slides, but it won't take too much longer. And again, thank you so much. I just love and
Yeah.
adore you. I just
Right back at you.
Thanks, babe. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what else I have. All right, so I've taken these courses before, and sometimes they don't like really guide you to like here's a habit you need to think about doing. So this is the first thing that I've kind of morphed into something that feels like it resonates with me is every week I'm going to give you a habit. And so this habit, this week, I want you to just, I don't want you to like throw out all your stuff. First of all, I'm super frugal. That would be expensive. And even if you had all the money in the world and you could afford to just like ditch it all or donate it to somebody and then buy all plant-based products at once, I don't think it's very realistic because it's hard to adopt new habits. It's if you buy too much at once and then you're trying to learn how to use this and when to use that, I think you're going to be less apt to succeed than if you just little by little start incorporating new things. And I love stacking habits too. Like Doug and I will put a drop of frankincense under our tongue for inflammation, and we put the frankincense by our toothbrush because brushing our teeth is a habit that we have down, luckily. And so with the frankincense right next to our toothbrush, then we're not having to out of the blue remember our boy Frank, but we just have it right there and we're like, oh, that's right. I am a little achy. I'm going to do some frankincense. So run out, swap it out. That's my phrase. Other people used to say the ditch and switch or something, and I thought, oh no, don't ditch it because I don't want you to throw things out. But when you run out, start thinking about it. Reach out to your rep if you have one. Reach out to me if you don't. And then also to the DIY recipes. I've come to learn that if I don't make it ahead of time, I'm probably not going to end up using it because when I think about it, I'm going to be ready for that shower or bath or whatever other DIY I'm making. And so I just need to have it made up ahead of time. And then I'm more apt to like, oh, that's right, I have that thing to use. And then, kind of on the heels of what I was just talking about, the class that I'm thinking about that I took a few years ago, we didn't like practice how to stack it all together, right? And so it was a great class. I learned a lot, but then at the end, I was just like, oh, I don't know what to do next. And so I don't think I was so successful at adopting these habits into my daily routine. And what this reminds me of is when you were kids, did you ever sit in a circle and you say, okay, when I go to grandma's house, I'm going to bring my toothbrush. And then the next person, like Jen says, toothbrush and teddy bear. And then the next person adds on from that. I kind of thought about that. I'm trying to kind of stack it all up. So the first week we talked about stress. And if you go back to that recording on YouTube, you're going to see a lot of information about that. But if I were to boil it down, you're going to apply your adaptive, which is a beautiful propriety blend from doTERRA. It's really good for stress. And you're going to put it on your pulse points, do some box breathing, and just chill for a minute. And again, if you need more information, go back to that recording. Now, also, the second habit that we're stacking with that is make sure that you're getting a good night's sleep. We didn't do it last night. We watched the Fire Aid for LA. It was, if you guys didn't catch it, maybe they recorded it. We usually go to bed around 9 or 10, which means based on this, we're trying to start thinking about sleep around 6. We have dinner, we get into our loungewear, we try to minimize screen time. Doug's better at that than I am. And we try to tell our bodies, like, that's right, we watch this show and that show. Maybe you read a book, and it will help you transition over to getting a good night's sleep. Last night we stayed up till 12:30. They had so many good musicians, and it was just, I couldn't stop. All right. And then if you have pain, Deep Blue, if you know any products from doTERRA, you might know Deep Blue. It's a really effective, it comes in a lotion or a stick or a capsule if you want to get rid of your ibuprofen. That's what you're going to lean into for pain. And then boosting your immune system is what we talked about last week. Uh, Make sure you're moving. Go take Jen's sound healing. Even just get into yoga, laying down, flipping around a little bit, or a more uh, active class. Take a walk, swim, whatever's fun for you. Keep your motion as lotion, right? Keep your body going and lean into your on guard for boosting your immune system. And then today we talked about the bath bar. So just little by little. And I loved all of Jen's input about hormonal disruption and toxicity. It was so validating and affirming. So thank you so much. I could have listened to you for an hour. All right. And then just thank you. We'll be back. We won't be back next Wednesday. I don't know when you're listening to this because it'll be on YouTube. But Wednesday the 5th, I am taking the week off. I will be in Minnie Mouse's house with my 2-year-old granddaughter because that's what she wants to do. She wants to go sit in Minnie Mouse's house and just wait for Minnie. So that's where I'll be. But the next Wednesday, I'll be back and we're going to cover plant-based cleaners with my friend Brittany, who has designed our house and also my website. She's just a natural designer. And the next week after that will be bioavailable vitamins and supplements. And that speaker is my naturopathic doctor, Dr. Moira Fitzpatrick. And the last week will be talking about an annual cleanse or a cleanse that you can do as often as you want. I tend to do it once a year. And that guest speaker is Dr. Jason Nummy, who is our chiropractor. And it's every Wednesday, 9 a.m., except for not on February 5th. So let's connect. This is my phone number for texting. I could get back to you that way or my email. I also have website, Facebook, Instagram, livewellnaturally.us. And I'm on YouTube. I'm so excited. I have like 31 followers. I would love to have 32. So please like and subscribe. My grown kids were like, "Do you even watch YouTube?" And I'm like, "I'm going to start." So I'm trying to branch out and do different things. I think it keeps us young. And I just thank you so much, Jen, for sharing with us. And it makes me want to catch up with you sooner than not, so I can just continue learning and just hanging out with you. So
Thank you. Appreciate you.
yeah, I appreciate you. All right, everybody, have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.